my days with a woman unkind, smoked my stuff and drank all my wine. Made up my mind, making you start, going to California with an aching in my heart. Someone told me there's a girl out there with love in her eyes, flowers in her hair.
Hello everybody! Welcome once again to another edition of Quick Trivia with Mike. It's the weekly game show right here on channel 955, where we test your knowledge of facts. Sometimes a little bit more historic in nature, sometimes very contemporary. Hopefully, always a lot of fun. I am your host and the Quizmaster, Mike Brever, and today I have a very special guest, Jen McEwen. Hello, Jen. How are you?
I'm good. How are you today?
I am just fine. Jen, you are our Director of Human Resources, right?
That is correct.
We're going to learn a little bit about that by chatting with you shortly, but there's a couple of things that we do now with Quick Trivia that have become a tradition that we're going to start with first, okay?
All right.
The very first thing we're going to do is birthdays of the week.
Yay!
Birthdays of the week. We have a couple this week in particular. Carla Mae Richards on April 7th is celebrating her birthday. Diane Gainier, also on the 7th of April. She and Carla are birthday twins. On the 9th of April, Shirley Anthony is celebrating her birthday. And also on the 9th of April, Phil Crump is celebrating his birthday.
Also, my daughter's birthday is also April 9th.
No kidding.
So now we have a triple birthday.
Birthday triplets.
There you go.
There you go. Wonderful. Well, if you run into any of these birthday kids over the next couple days or even next week or so, we're sure to wish them a very, very happy birthday. And do so on behalf of all of us here at Quick Trivia as well.
You got it.
And if you see Jen's daughter,
yes,
be sure to wish her a happy birthday as well. Well, the other thing that we do here is we try to update people on events that are taking place right now.
Right.
And Stacey Abbott, who was my guest about, I'm going to guess maybe 2-3 weeks ago, she asked me if I would bring you up to date on a particular activity happening over in community events. It is the Spring Wellness Challenge. I know you know all about that, right?
Yes, I do.
You do?
A little bit about it. I know the employees just wrapped up their fitness challenge.
Yes.
So now the residents get their turn.
And you know what? I took 3rd place for men.
You did.
I did. I lost 1.2% of my body weight.
That's 1.2% that you didn't have before. So there you go.
I'm on a hot streak. I think I'm going to go buy a lottery ticket because this is probably it.
Whew, I don't know if I would go that far.
Oh, okay. Actually, what it probably was I wore a different pair of shoes for the way out versus the way in.
Or no jacket.
Maybe. I do remember I wore my overcoat and boots when I weighed in because that was January, I think.
Touche, it was.
Yeah, so, I wore long johns, all that stuff, way out. But at any rate, I took 3rd place for men in the weight loss challenge. I have a theory though, for those of you that always have trouble losing weight like I do. The problem is all these people out there losing weight.
Mm-hmm.
My theory is that the pounds, the ounces, the calories, they never really leave the environment. If someone loses 10 pounds, they're floating around here.
They just go somewhere else?
They're floating around here waiting for someone to latch on.
So what you're telling me is I put on 1.2%. You're 1.2 that you
Exactly.
lost.
When I lose,
Thanks, Mike.
someone gains.
Thank
when
you
you
so
lose,
much.
I gain. That's just the way it is. That's my theory at any rate. Well, the Spring Wellness Challenge ran from March 1st and it will last until April 17th, which is actually coming up very, very quickly. We wanted our residents to participate in up to 12 wellness events, and there are actually 2 specific categories. One was spiritual and wellness, and the other was physical wellness. For spiritual and mental wellness, there was meditation, spousal support, grief support, Bible study, the Ash Wednesday ecumenical service. Ecumenical services any week. the gratitude group, and there is a planning your funeral book discussion as well. Under physical wellness, there was aqua aerobics, falls prevention exercise, senior strength tai chi, strength and tone yoga, fall prevention exercise, and I'll tell you, fall prevention has nothing to do with the season that follows summer. It's preventing falls.
Who would have thunk that,
I
Mike?
know, who would have thought that? So it has nothing to do with that. If you're worried about fall coming, this isn't the workshop for you. And the fitness center open house, obviously on March 20th, that took place on March 25th. All you have to do is go to 12 of these events and have someone sign your participation sheet. What do you get for participating, do you know?
I don't know.
You get entered in a raffle for a $50 gift card to either Whole Foods or Sendix.
Nice.
So you get well either in body and spirit, and you get a free gift card.
Right. Just
How
make
can you
healthy
beat that?
choices when you go to those places. You don't want to take Mike's 1.2%.
That's true. And I'll tell you, at my starting weight, 1.2% is a lot. So there's calories out there.
Yes.
So Jen, you've been with us now about 2 years, right?
Yeah, 2 years, April 20th.
2 years, April 20th. It seems
Yeah.
like just yesterday.
It's crazy. I mean, to start in the thick of COVID, and here we still are, still today, still dealing with COVID. Never really thought that was possible, but to be able to start a new job in the beginning of COVID and to be able to be here has just been such a blessing to me and to my family.
You know, you and I just came from a meeting of our directors, which we meet every other week, and in the heat of COVID, we were meeting weekly, but now we're back down to every other week. One of the things we talk about is turnover.
Yes.
You know, a lot of you residents watching, you notice that maybe you became good friends with John Doe, who started 4 months ago, and all of a sudden they're gone. What have you been doing to try to make sure that we have stability in our employment here so that our residents get to form bonds, if you will, with the staff?
Great question. I mean, some of the things that we've done is revise our interview packets to make sure that we are hiring the right candidates and making sure that we're asking the right questions that are great for East Castle Place. We are changing up our onboarding processes, so making sure that orientation is fun and engaging. It's a lot of information, but making sure that our employees know what they need to do. We just started doing a train the trainer for our trainers here today, so making sure that they are getting the proper expectations. They know exactly how to train, so it doesn't matter if I train with Bob, Sue, or Jane. All the trainers are training the exact same way, because some of the reasons we hear about why a new hire might be leaving is maybe they didn't feel like they were properly trained. Maybe they didn't feel a part of East Castle Place community. And so with this Train the Trainer program, we've really tried to initiate that and just make sure that they feel a part of the team. They're going to lunches with our new hires. They're introducing them to employees and residents and making sure that they feel a part of the unit. And the new thing that we're starting later this month is our first new hire feedback sessions. So we're going to be sitting down with all the new hires that started already from January 1st and just see, what do you like about working here? What would you like us to maintain? And also, what can we do different? If we stay exactly where we are, we'll never be able to move that needle forward. And so we have to constantly keep changing and evolving and asking for that feedback and then making those process changes.
One of the things I really like, and we've talked about this over the last couple of weeks, we're trying to recognize staff that do extraordinary things. Not just walking down the corridor and picking up a piece of paper, but welcoming and embracing the residents, going above and beyond, letting the residents know, and maybe other staff, that they're the most important person that you're dealing with right now. And we're trying to recognize them. And I know Jen has given half-hour presentations on how this all works. I don't really want to go into that detail,
Sure.
But if our residents recognize a particular employee that has really gone above and beyond, can they participate in this somehow as well?
Oh my gosh, most definitely. So we had a program before where we put those nomination pieces of paper up on the wall. We did eliminate that program so we could really take on a much more robust recognition program. We're currently working on creating like those nomination forms. We're going to have that out by May 1st. And it'll be available like it was before, up at the front reception desk, up on like the nursing floors. And then every single week we'll collect all those nominations, we'll put it into the system so that our employees can get those recognition points and redeem for some great prizes. So
Wonderful.
And I think another thing I would like to add on too was Maureen and Mike, they put on this amazing paint and sip, and I know that I've told you about how much I love this event, but it was really my first opportunity to do an event with the residents outside of these four walls, and just kind of get to know everyone. And I'll tell you, like, it made me so happy to be a part of that, and I've seen some of these residents since then and been able to engage in different conversations that I didn't have before. So
I mean, that's really true. When we get to engage with other staff, with board members, with residents, we can have conversations that you never envisioned before. What is really nice about it, and I'm glad you brought it up, for those of you that weren't there, or for those of you that were and you want to see the results, on the second floor balcony right here in Contemporary, we have 6 of the pictures that are on display right now. And if any of you residents who went to the paint and sip want to put yours on display, bring it over. Probably for the next 2 weeks maybe or so, we're going to leave them up, people see them. The second point that I want to make about it is if people really enjoyed that, we call those friend raisers versus fundraisers. The idea is not to raise money, it's to raise relationships, to let people know that we're all in this together, if you will. We have our next one planned already.
Ooh.
June 26th.
Okay.
Sunday, we have a Brewers tailgate party. We have 80 tickets reserved. It's a 1:10 start game. First pitch, 1:10. It's a bobblehead day. So those of you that, really enjoy that as well, it's a free giveaway. And we have pavilion area number 4 reserved. So there will be a catered lunch for all of us.
It sounds amazing. I'm going to be out of town. I'm going to be at my daughter, who, again, birthday is this Saturday. She is on the gymnastics team, and she qualified to go to her first ever nationals.
Wonderful.
So we'll be in Ohio for that weekend.
Congratulations to you and your husband and her.
Yeah, so
That's
super
great
exciting,
news.
but the very next baseball game will be there.
Very good. We did this 3 years ago. Huge success.
Yeah.
2 years ago, we had to cancel because of COVID. Last year, we canceled because of COVID. The Brewers were kind enough to hold our reservation over for 3 years.
Wow.
So we're finally going to be able to go and enjoy it.
That's great.
We're looking forward to it. Well, Jen, let's take a look at some of the questions.
Let's do it.
Jen is, for those of you that don't know, she's a trivia savant. So we're going to see where we go with this. For those of you that are regular viewers, you know the show focuses on 3 questions that I ask every week. We begin the show by giving the answers to last week's questions,
Okay.
a brief intermission, and then I pose 3 new questions for the coming week.
All right.
So you can throw out suggested answers on these first ones, okay?
Okay.
We talked a little bit last week about the Kentucky Derby.
Ooh.
The last week in April, first week in May, somewhere around that time frame.
Yes.
The running for the roses is always held. It is the first race of the Triple Crown.
Okay.
There's the Preakness and the Belmont as well. It's probably the most lucrative financially as well.
Okay.
I mean, really, if you're an owner, a trainer, a jockey, winning the Derby, your career is set.
Right.
And everybody knows you from that day on. It also, believe it or not, is the most watched sporting event in person every year.
Really?
For at least a week ahead of time. The Louisville, it's held in Louisville, Kentucky. The Louisville airport is just inundated with private jets that come in and people that come to it. But because they have the infield, they have the bleachers that go all the way around. The largest crowd they've ever had was 157,000 people.
Wow.
And they're routinely in that level.
Okay.
My question to our viewers last week, and
Only trying to help you guys, I don't know.
We're going to see if Jen can get this. A key to winning a horse race is having an experienced jockey.
Okay.
The other key to it is having a light jockey.
Okay.
You're not going to see a 6'2" jockey that weighs 192 pounds.
Correct.
These are typically very petite for a man,
lightweight,
if you will, type person.
Okay.
Alonzo Lonnie Clayton won the Derby in 1892.
Okay.
In 1892. To this day, Alonzo, called Lonnie Clayton, is the youngest jockey to ever win the Derby. How old was Alonzo Clayton when he won the Derby in 1892?
And he's, okay, wow. I don't know the rules, so best educated guess, 14?
That's actually very good.
Is it?
It is. Alonzo Clayton was 15 years old.
I was gonna say
So
14
close,
or
so
15.
close. Born March 27th, 1876. He won the Derby in 1892.
Wow.
Now, actually, horse racing is a very, very dangerous sport.
Yeah.
I mean,
You fall
literally
off.
today, to put a 15-year-old on a horse in the Kentucky Derby, I think that would be termed child abuse.
Yes.
I mean, I
I'm
really
not.
do.
I'm not gonna put my child on there.
Exactly. So no matter how skilled you are, at that age, you can't have any more than a year or two experience.
Right.
But yes, he won in 1892 at 15 years of age. Alonzo, commonly called Lonnie Clayton, is the youngest jockey to ever win the Kentucky
I will
Derby.
always know this for future reference.
Congratulations. That was
Hey.
very, very good. We next talked a little bit about Hollywood history.
Ooh.
A blockbuster movie in 1979. It actually was, I believe, the very first of the disaster era of movies. You know, Towering Inferno and some airplane that crashed and all the rest of that. This was the China Syndrome.
Okay.
The China Syndrome, it was just a blockbuster movie. It starred Jane Fonda, Jack Lemmon, and Michael Douglas. Now, there were a lot of B-rated actors and actresses that you would recognize if you saw the movie,
Yeah.
but those were the three huge stars.
Okay.
Directed by James Bridges. It was written by Mike Gray, T.S. Cook, and James Bridges. It was nominated for like 5 Academy Awards.
Wow.
It didn't win any.
Okay.
It did win some of the lesser awards, the Golden Globes and stuff like that, but it didn't win any Academy Awards. The entire budget for making the film was $5.9 million.
That's a lot of money back then.
It grossed $51.9 million at the
Wow.
box office. So just a huge, huge financial success. Again, it was nominated for Best Actor, Jack Lemmon, Best Actress, Jane Fonda, for Best Original Screenplay and Best Production Design. It didn't win any of the Oscars,
Got
but
it.
still, to be nominated is
Great
quite
achievement.
quite an achievement. I asked our viewers.
Uh-oh.
This one you're probably actually going to get.
Uh-oh.
You're probably going to get this.
Okay.
The China Syndrome premiered in 1979. It gets its name because in theory, if there's a core meltdown in a nuclear reactor, there is nothing to stop the meltdown, and it'll go through the Earth's core and end up in China.
Oh, okay.
Therefore, it's called the China Syndrome.
Okay.
A nuclear incident is extremely dangerous.
Yes.
Not just because of the radiation in the atmosphere, but because how do you contain the active nuclear waste once a core melts down?
Okay. Yeah.
In theory, it could go through the Earth's core. Something happened 12 days after the China Syndrome premiered as a Hollywood blockbuster movie, which really enhanced its ability to garner worldwide attention and rake in $51.9 million. What happened 12 days after the China Syndrome debuted, which turned the China Syndrome itself into a blockbuster movie?
Is there a multiple choice allowed in this, or no?
No.
You should really do multiple choice.
Sometimes I do.
Sometimes you do,
But not
this one.
Not
okay.
this one.
I one, do not judge me by my lack of historical knowledge.
She
This
gets
is-
within a year, though, of sporting events.
right?
There you go.
I also was not born yet. I was born 3 years later. I'm gonna guess a tsunami, maybe?
No.
No?
Have you ever heard of a nuclear accident called 3 Mile Island?
No.
3 Mile Island was a nuclear reactor very similar to Chernobyl.
Okay.
Are you familiar
Yes.
with Chernobyl?
Yep.
But 3 Mile Island nuclear reactor number 2 had a partial meltdown. And much like the China syndrome. Have you ever seen the China syndrome?
No, I've never even heard of it.
It was a faulty gauge in the
Okay.
China syndrome, which led the engineers to believe that too much water was flooding into the nuclear core, which wouldn't allow it to heat properly. So they turned all the valves off. Well, it turned out what really was going on was that there was a stuck valve. And so there was a chain reaction that led to a core meltdown. That was the exact same storyline
Yeah.
in 3 Mile Island, which resulted in the release of radioactive gases and radioactive iodine into the environment. The accident was due largely due to operator error and inadequate training and design flaws. Ironically, the China Syndrome movie debuted 12 days earlier. The nuclear power industry made fun of the film, claiming it was absurd and nothing like that could ever happen.
And then 12 days later.
They were eating
That
their
is
words.
crazy.
Eating their words. There actually were 3 reactors at 3 Mile Island, and only reactor number 2 had the meltdown.
Got it.
But it truly is the incident that led the United States starting to turn away from nuclear power as an alternative to fossil fuels.
Got
They
it.
then started looking at renewable energy.
Got it. Okay.
So, 3 Mile Island happened.
3 Mile Island.
Look
I
it
will
up,
not
by
go
the
look
way.
that up. Yes.
It happened in Pennsylvania, I believe.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'll look it up.
you'll love it.
All right. Last question.
Here at East Castle Place, we have a green committee.
Okay.
The Green Committee is chaired by Marion Fraley, and it is participated in by wonderful, wonderful residents who work with her on helping East Castle Place be as green as possible, being as environmentally aware as possible. In honor of the fact that April 22nd is Earth Day.
Yes.
And of course, I think it's kind of an Earth Week now.
It's Earth, because then you have Arbor Day is always the last
Yeah,
day of the month,
right.
so you combine them together.
Correct. So we try to take a look during the month of April,
Okay.
not just the week of the 22nd of April, at a variety of issues to highlight not only the efforts of environmental activism and being environmentally conscious here at East Castle, but around the world. And last week, I gave some typical decomposition times
Oh.
for various items.
Okay.
For example, I pointed out that it takes a newspaper 6 weeks to rot and decompose.
Wow.
A sheet of paper only takes 4 weeks. A cardboard box, how long do you think it takes a cardboard box to
I'm
decompose?
gonna say it's longer, so maybe
It is.
16 weeks?
Oh, I'm sorry, actually it isn't.
Oh.
It takes less time.
Oh.
Less time.
Oh, okay.
3
so
months.
3. Oh, okay.
Well, I'm sorry, it is 3
That's
months
what I
is 12
said.
weeks.
I got
There
that
you go.
part right.
You got it right. Okay. You are right. I got confused between weeks and months. That's what happens when you lose 1.2% of your body fat. You know, your brain just goes to mush. Takes a tin can 100 years to decompose.
Wow.
My question to our viewers last year, but before we do that, takes a tin can 100 years to decay. How long do you think it takes an aluminum can to decompose?
6 months.
200 years.
Whoa.
Takes a tin can 100 years, takes an aluminum can 200 years.
Wow. Okay.
There you have it.
Recycle. Got it.
I asked our viewers last week, how long does it take for a plastic bottle to rot in a landfill? A plastic bottle. Which actually...
60 years.
No.
No? Am I high?
No.
Oh.
No. You know, plastic is actually a byproduct of fossil fuels.
Yes,
You know.
I've kind of heard this before.
Right, okay. So at any rate, no, it's more than 60 years. One more guess and then I'll tell you.
150 years.
450 years.
What?
400, and that's presuming it's in a landfill. You know, for a long time, shoreline communities were taking their waste and sending it out into the ocean and dropping it. Well, then, you know, you have all these porpoises swimming around
Yeah.
with with six-pack, plastic six-packs as nose
Oh.
rings and stuff like that. 450 years.
That's crazy. I do use my recyclable bottle
Good
in
for
my,
you.
I have a hydro flask that I got for
Good for you.
Christmas, so that I'm not using plastic bottles.
Good for you. Good for you. Glass bottles, by the way, in contrast to plastic,
Okay.
never decompose.
Really?
Never. That's why it's so important to recycle.
Wow.
Because glass can be broken down
Mhm.
and reused.
Yep.
So there you have it. That was our Earth Day question from last week, and those are the 3 questions from last week. We're going to take a brief intermission now. I'm going to be right back with Jen. We've got 3 real interesting brain teasers for you for the second half of the show. Go get yourself a cup of coffee, maybe a donut. I know those of you that are on a weight loss challenge, maybe donuts aren't where you want to go.
Hey, it's a good challenge though. Can you take the temptation?
There you go. So we're going to be right back. Hurry back, Jen and I are going to wait for you. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the second half. Jen and I have been waiting here very, very patiently for you.
Mike did not bring me a donut though, so.
Nor did I bring her coffee, because that caffeine might have actually.
Yeah, I don't drink coffee, but the donuts, if you ever want to make me super happy, it's a donut.
I'm going to remember that. You know, staff know, you residents don't know. I bring in donuts on payday. Are you one of the donut?
It depends if
consumers?
I'm in my weight loss at that point. So unfortunately, I just started a weight loss challenge for myself today. So I will not be participating in Donut Fridays when you bring them in.
And you have a goal for your
I
the
do.
weight loss challenge?
I do have a goal. My biggest thing is just portion control. So if I log my food and count my calories and whatnot, I can do it. I don't like being that regimented, but that is the best way for me to lose weight and be healthy.
Okay. An interesting thing, Jen and I are actually taping this show on Tuesday. You're not going to see this until either Friday at 11, Friday at 2, or Sunday at 4. We'll find out if she's on the weight loss challenge come Friday.
I'll let you guys know.
Go talk to Jen, see if she's still on it. That's 3 whole days from now, so we'll see. Jen, I've had many guests on the show. This is our 3rd year now, and I've had many guests, especially over the last year. We've tried to spruce things up a little bit. One of the questions I tend to ask people that are young parents, in this age of COVID, socialization for the upbringing of our children, and in my case, a grandchild, is so important. Yet isolation and keeping people safe was the mantra for the last 2 years. What did you as a parent do for your kids during this time to see that they had a healthy upbringing, both in terms of social context and in terms of health exposure.
Yeah, ironically, I have an app called Time Hop, and it lets you know about things in the past that you've posted on social media. So may that be your Snapchats, your Facebooks, Instagrams, things like that. And ironically, this actually came up on my Time Hop today. The kids and I, so during COVID, I have two children. My son is 11 and a half. My daughter turns 10 on Saturday. So I mean, that's a really hard age to keep kids like that occupied. So we did a lot of different things. We did a lot of tent building. Forts were huge for us to kind of keep the creative juices flowing. My family and I, we love movies, so we created a lot of movie theater experiences in the house. Zoom was great for us to stay in contact with their friends and kind of do some Zoom play dates. We did pumpkin painting over Zoom with the kiddos. But then for me, it really made me stretch out and become more creative with what is the normal. So we did, 2 years ago today, we did puffy painting, where we created our own puffy paint and then put it in like the old-fashioned ketchup and mustard bottles. And then we went outside on the sidewalk, and then we drew like little figurines like out on the sidewalk.
Really great.
We did like salt dough kind of creatures and painted that and everything. We did a lot of sidewalk painting.
Like Play-Doh? You kind of like made your own Play-Doh?
We made our own Play-Doh.
Yeah,
so
wonderful.
we had like palm trees and everything, and then we painted that. I mean, it was a very hard time to keep kids at that age happy and occupied, and also mom not being the sole entertainment. So no, we did a lot of arts and crafts was definitely a big thing for us. Playing cards became a big thing. And I think the one thing that I very much appreciated from COVID was slowing down.
Well, that's a good point.
As a
Family
parent,
time.
yes, as a parent, you're constantly, you're doing school events, you're doing sporting events, and it really taught us to slow down and appreciate family time. And so one of the things that we started doing, which I can't wait for the weather to get better, was we did nightly walks as a family. And it created conversations that never took time and never took place before. So for me, that was my biggest takeaway from that, of just making sure that family time stays as important as it was during COVID as we continue to reopen up and everything.
That's really, really good. I'm impressed with everything you came up with to do. That's good. Now, you don't know, and I'm going to share with you now, maybe you do know, if you have followed Jen's career, you got married since you started here, right?
Yes, I
Is that
did.
2 years ago now?
Yeah, I mean, so I started here at East Castle April 2020, thick of like lockdown. And then my husband and I, we got married, destination wedding in North Carolina. A very small, intimate little wedding, but I mean, started a new job, got married, all in 2020. So
And all in the midst of COVID.
all in the midst of COVID.
And so now you have a blended family, if
Yes.
you will, and you're, reaching out, doing new things all
Yes.
the time. I give you a lot of credit. That's wonderful.
It was a lot, but I mean, I wouldn't change it for the world. So it was a great time, and again, just makes you appreciate and that family unit. So if you can get through all of that in COVID, you can do anything.
And I think that's one thing that maybe COVID has done. It's taught us to persevere,
Mm-hmm.
And taught us that, maybe there are new ways you can do things.
Yes.
Other ways to interact as a family and as a community.
Yes, I mean, one of the things that I very much love that we started, after I started, was State of the Castle was always an in-person seminar, learning session, but now it's always recorded. And I love that because not everyone is always available during that time, or maybe physically is not able to always come down for those meetings. So to your point, it's how do we continue to take some of the things that we did during COVID and continue to push it forward and keep that great communication piece going.
And I think a real good example of that, and I'm glad that Jen has brought up State of the Castle, Channel 955. COVID taught us that we can use Channel 955 for a lot of things. One of the things that we're going to be using it for to keep all of you informed is we will be meeting with our general contractor either every 2 weeks or every week or once a month, whatever. We're going to be getting behind the scenes looks at the construction. We'll go behind the partitions with the cameras and with a C.G. Schmidt representative explaining the progress that we're making,
Mhm.
which I think is really great. We never would have thought of that
No.
if we hadn't started doing things on 955 because of COVID.
Yep.
So I think that's really good. Now, you actually came to us with an extensive history in HR. You were at, was it Target or Walmart?
Yeah, I was at Target for 10 years as HR management, and then I was in a mortgage sales office for 5 years as HR management. So this is my first time walking into healthcare, and to walk in during a national epidemic, like what a whirlwind of experience of that, and just the things that I have become more comfortable in a knowledge base that I never would have had before. And our nursing team is so great about wanting to always explain things. Because, you know, when you're in COVID, it's like, well, why are we doing it this way? Why are we making these changes? And that team is so great about sharing the whys and, you know, the risk and the rewards to everything. So I very much love the learning atmosphere that East Castle Place definitely embraces.
I also like one of the ways that Jen just seems to roll with the punches. You know, there was someone in Jen's department. Your department's only 2 people.
Correct.
And for years, I mean, Tony was just somebody that everybody knew. He helped everybody. He knew how to do everything. Just a real, you know, go-getter, behind-the-scenes kind of person. Tony leaves, Mia comes.
Yep.
And with your mentorship and training, she's become just as vibrant of a person around the East Castle Place community
Yes.
as Tony ever was.
I love, it was like 2 or 3 months ago, I was looking for Mia. I'm like, where is she? Where is she? And then she comes back down and she goes, I was just meeting with one of the residents in her rooms and she was showing me something and I was up there. I was only supposed to be up there for a couple minutes and it was like 30 minutes later. And I love that. I love that, you know, we're really trying to get more out there. And obviously with some of the restrictions coming down, that's opening that up for us to be able to participate in that. But HR is not just about the employees, it is about all of you guys watching this video. So if you guys ever want to know more about myself or Mia, our offices are in Water Tower on the 1st floor, but definitely we're always walking around. Stop us, introduce yourself, we'll introduce ourselves. Very much looking forward to this new time of hopefully breaking away from COVID.
And I know we're all looking forward to that as well.
Yes.
We're still talking about, all of you get to walk around now without face masks on.
Oh, I can't wait.
And we were just talking about it at a director's meeting today about when that transition may occur for staff in independent living. Healthcare, it's going to be a long time yet.
But for me, I've only ever worn a mask. And so I don't even know what some employees even look like.
Sure.
So I mean, such a difference for me to be like, wait, this is actually your full face.
That's right.
So super excited to see what that might potentially look like.
Well, I know the future around here at East Castle is going to be exciting. There's going to be staffing transitions, offices will be moving, and I know you're working very hard at getting the best qualified people possible to be here. So I know we're all looking forward to the future.
Can't wait.
Well, Jen, should we take a look
Let's do this.
the 3 questions for the coming week?
All right.
We're going to take a look a little bit at Hollywood again.
Ooh.
But we're going to take a look at TV Hollywood.
Ooh, I might be okay with this one.
All right.
I won't give my answer.
Please don't.
Okay.
Please don't give your answer. Because these are your questions for the coming week. We're going to take a look at how Hollywood tells us what's going on in the TV world.
Okay.
TV Guide.
Yeah, oh my gosh, I remember that when I was younger.
There you go. TV Guide magazine was developed by Lee Wagner, who was born in 1910 and passed away in 1993. It was a circulation product of McFadden Publications. Originally in the 1930s, it later was picked up by Cowles Media Company. In 1948, it progressed into specifically focusing on New York City area listings. At that time, it was called the Television Guide.
Okay.
Now, of course, you know, radio was still the #1 media at that time. But the TV industry realized things were coming, and boy, it was time to get on board. You know, I will tell you that when it first went national, 1953.
Wow.
To be specific, April 3rd, 1953, TV Guide had its very first national publication. It sold 1,560,000 copies.
It's impressive.
It was for the very, very first time. Of course, once again, television is a new thing on the market. Everybody wants to know what's going on. Of course, now you've got 150 cable stations. And when I was growing up, when you were younger, I grew up in a household that had 3 television stations. We had NBC, CBS, ABC, maybe, Channel 10, PBS, which came in 1963, and then Channel 18 and 24.
Right.
36 came, Channel 36 was an offshoot of Channel 10. So there really wasn't much. Had the dials on TV.
I did have that. I was my dad's TV remote.
There you
had
go.
to go, and then you had to switch channels, and then if it was the blurry, you're like,
Move the rabbit ears.
Move the rabbit ears.
Put tin foil on
Yes,
the rabbit ears.
my dad would just be like, Jennifer, just hold the rabbit ears. Like, the whole show?
That's right. That's right. Yeah, that's right. Ironically, everybody had black and white in those days too. Our first color television set. You talk about televisions originally were a piece of furniture that your family room was centered around.
Yes.
Well, ours was actually called a portable. It had a stand that was built for it on casters, and this was a box that probably was as big as a chest of drawers, maybe half the size of a chest of drawers.
Wow.
But they put a handle on the top. It weighed about 300 pounds, but there was a handle on the top.
Oh my gosh.
So it was called a portable, because there was a handle on it.
Well,
There
it
you
has
have
a handle.
It actually spawned an entire industry. There used to be things called TV repairmen who would come to your house and they'd have tubes and they'd replace tubes in the back of your TV set. A whole industry which has gone by the wayside. Well, at any rate, on the very first edition of TV Guide that went national on April 3rd, 1953, the cover had a picture of the hottest television star of that era, Lucille Ball.
Okay.
I Love Lucy, of course, was a big hit at that time. There was a second person on the cover with Lucille Ball, someone who would go on to a huge career in rock and roll. My question to you, who is it that appeared on the initial cover of TV Guide that went national with Lucille Ball, who later had a huge career in rock and roll? That, my friends, is question number 1.
Interesting.
Question number 2.
Ooh.
Question number 2. This coming Sunday, at least for the Roman Catholic version of Christianity, is Palm Sunday. Palm Sunday begins Holy Week. Lent begins with Ash Wednesday, and it ends with Holy Week. So Lent is very quickly coming to an end. Lent, of course, is a solemn religious observance in the Christian liturgical calendar commemorating the 40 days that Jesus spent fasting in the desert. Now, ironically, if you count the number of days between Ash Wednesday and Easter Sunday, they're not really 40 days.
No.
Do you know how many days it is?
39?
46.
Oh.
Why is it 46 when people say that Jesus fasted in the desert for 40 days and 40 nights? This is actually a question for you.
This
is not
for me?
for our viewers.
Okay.
Why do you think Lent is only 40 days, or called 40 days?
Oof. Man, I was born and raised Catholic.
Actually, it's a dead giveaway if you figure that it's actually 46 days,
It's a dead
but
giveaway?
it only counts as 40.
I don't know.
Because there's 6 weeks in Lent. 6 days don't count.
Because of Sundays?
Yes!
Ah!
Sunday doesn't count for Lent. Christians felt they deserved a day
They
off,
needed a day off.
even in the middle of Lent. So there you have it.
Got it. I didn't know there was a day off during Lent.
There is. So if you come from one of those households where you ask your children to give up something for Lent, or maybe you do, technically, liturgically, you could take Sunday off.
My parents did not do that when we grew up. We had to do the 40 days, and you had to give up something.
Yeah, we respected it from Ash Wednesday until Holy Saturday.
Okay.
The day before Easter.
Got
And
it.
that's when we had to give something up. And traditionally for us as kids, it was candy.
It was candy, it was food, soda.
Yeah, exactly.
things
And that's
like
why
that.
you made up for it on Easter Sunday.
Well, fantastic.
That's right, that's right. So there's a lot of nuances about Lent. I mean, Holy Thursday, Good Friday, Holy Saturday, called the Triduum. It's the 3 holiest days of the liturgical year. Easter is not like Christmas. Christmas is always December 25th.
Yep.
Easter's not always the same day. Do you know why that is?
No, I would actually love to learn that, though.
Because Easter goes by the Jewish calendar,
Huh.
which it's, if you remember on Holy Thursday, Jesus was celebrating Passover
Okay.
with his disciples. Passover is a Jewish celebration. The Jewish calendar is a lunar calendar. It goes by cycles of the moon. It doesn't go by a traditional Gregorian calendar,
Got it.
which goes by revolutions around the sun.
Mhm.
So that's why Easter changes,
Got it.
because it's recognized that Jesus was celebrating Passover, therefore it follows the Jewish
Got it.
calendar.
I'm actually going to tell my daughter this because she gets very upset sometimes. Next year, her birthday will fall on Easter, and she's
Well, and that's
like,
it, yeah.
she's like, well, why does my birthday have to fall on Easter? I go, I actually don't know why.
Because you lose out on stuff when it's Easter, right?
Exactly. For her at this age, yes.
Now, you also know there are other things in the traditional community at large that are already focused on Lent.
Okay.
For example, there is a wonderful, wonderful celebration down in New Orleans called Mardi Gras.
Yes.
Mardi Gras is tied to the Lenten calendar as well.
I did not know that.
Mardi Gras is French for
Party?
Fat Tuesday.
Oh, I know that.
Fat Tuesday.
Oh.
Fat Tuesday precedes Ash Wednesday, which is the traditional beginning of the Lenten fast.
Got it.
So people really engorge themselves the day before
To go all
Lent
in.
begins. Fat Tuesday, Mardi Gras.
Yeah.
New Orleans, with their strong French tie, call it Mardi Gras.
Got
But
it.
it's Fat Tuesday. Of course, in the Polish culture, Fat Tuesday is known for their pastries called
Paczki?
punchkis.
Punchkis.
It's spelled pachki.
Right.
It's Paczki, but
Yes.
it's pronounced punchki.
Okay,
Literally, they're jelly donuts.
got it.
The traditional recipe is prune
Ooh,
filling,
sorry.
but now it can be any type of jelly.
Got it.
My question to you, our viewers, is that Ash Wednesday begins the Lenten cycle. It ends on Holy Saturday. Where do the ashes come from that the church uses to adorn people's forehead with the sign of the cross that they recognize on Ash Wednesday? That is my question for you. Where do the ashes come from that
That's a great
are
question.
used on Ash Wednesday? That's question number 2.
I like it. I have no idea. So,
Question number 3.
question number 3.
We're going to get back to Marion Fraley
Okay.
and the Green Committee here in honor of Earth Day, Earth Week, Earth Month. I guess it just goes
Everything.
on. Pretty soon it'll be Earth Year. Who
Exactly.
knows? We're going to talk a little bit about renewable energy.
Oh gosh.
Renewable energy is energy that is collected from renewable sources that are not naturally replenished on a human timescale. It includes sources such as sunlight, wind, rain, tides, waves, and geothermal heat, literally heat from the sun. In contrast to fossil fuels, which are oil, gas, things like that that come from the earth. In theory, renewable energy is energy that will never be exhausted if we can figure out a way to capture enough of it. Whereas consumable energy, of course, it's finite. There's probably only another 100 years of petroleum left in the ground. And of course, if scientists are correct right now, we've probably only got about another 10 to 15 years of using fossil fuels before the effects of greenhouse gases change the Earth's climate
Wow.
irreparably. I mean, we're already seeing glaciers in the Arctic and things like that. It's called calving. As a glacier loses a portion of itself, it's called calving. We're already seeing that happening quite a bit. But there are tremendous advances being done in this. By 2040, renewable energy is projected to equal coal and natural gas electricity generation. That's less than 20 years away. Within 18 years, science will go to the point where we can harvest enough renewable energy that it will equal the output of fossil fuels.
Wow.
I think it's just amazing. Transportation is already making great inroads with bioethanol made by fermentation rather than using petroleum and things like that. Solar vehicles are becoming a huge thing as well. And of course, more and more we're seeing, you know, windmills out in oceans actually generating fuel for shoreline communities. Global coal actually has decreased in terms of usage and demand in 2019 and 2020. Of course, we're also seeing the effects of COVID. There's been a tremendous reduction in the use of fossil fuels because of COVID. So some of it isn't necessarily as much as science advancing as it is changing of human practices and things like that. My question.
Dun dun dun.
There is one country as an experiment already that has gone 100 days using nothing but renewable energy.
Wow.
For 100 days, a country made the commitment and actually sustained itself 100% on renewable energy. What was that country? That is question
He's giving you
number
really hard
3.
questions, guys. This is...
Well, I don't know.
I would need like a Disney question, pop trivia. You do Disney and I'm your girl. You do 3 questions on Disney. I'm here.
You know, we may have you back
Yes.
on Disney Week.
Yes.
We may do that. I actually have the Trivial Pursuit. You're familiar
Oh,
with
yes.
that game? We have Disney Trivial Pursuit.
Yes, I
so,
love it.
you know, and then they have various questions based on age and how tough they should be.
Give me the kid ones, but yes, that sounds great.
Well, there you have it, folks. I want to thank all of you for tuning in this week. You know, you can play along by getting your answers to me by noon on Monday. You'll get your name mentioned on Quick Trivia next week, Friday. How do you get your answers to me by noon? Call me at 963-8425. You can email me at mbriefer@eastcastleplace.com. You can also write your answers on a sheet of paper, slide them under my door. Or, in lieu of that,
You
with
can
that
find me,
slip of
too.
paper, you can find Jen. But if you don't want to slide them under my door, what else could you do with the sheet of paper with
You
the answers?
could give it to the front desk and they could put it in your mailbox for you.
You could.
You could do that. Or
Just walk in my office.
Oh!
The door's never locked. The door's closed, but it's never locked. Just walk in, put it on the desk. I'll find it on Monday when I come in. Again, I'd really like to thank all of you for tuning in. I know you have lots of options how to spend this last half hour. I'm really pleased that you took the time to watch it with me and with Jen. Jen, thank you very much. I really had a wonderful time.
Yes, thank you for inviting me, and I will definitely be back for Disney Week, please.
Excellent. Well, maybe some other time too,
I
right?
love it. I
But
love
I
it.
hope you had a good time.
It was a lot of fun. Can I put a little nugget out there for everyone then too?
Please do.
All right, next week we have 2 different resident and employee engagement events. Next week, Wednesday the 13th, we are doing hot pretzels and hot melted cheese. As an Alzheimer's event, it is National Pretzel Day, so that's why we're doing this. It'll be $2 for your serving, and it'll be in the club room. We'll have 2 different times, that 11:30 to 12:30 time frame. And afternoon, around 2:30 to 3 o'clock will be that afternoon one. So come to the club room, bring $2, everything goes towards Alzheimer's, so a great event.
Or we can take credit cards too.
We
right?
do PayPal, you can
We
do
do.
it through that as well, so
Absolutely.
whatever best works
Right.
for you.
Whatever.
And then the second event we have is next week, Thursday, April 14th, in recognition of Brewers Opening Day. Please wear any of your baseball attire. Obviously for me, I'm a Brewers fan, so I would say Brewers, but I know not everyone is. So please wear your baseball attire. We're gonna do a picture like we typically do with all of the employees and residents that want to participate. And you can also pick up a box of Cracker Jack box
There
as
you
well.
go.
So all
Excellent.
of that's for next week, Wednesday and Thursday.
Excellent. Both of them sound like a lot of fun.
I can't wait.
I'm looking forward to it. Very good. I'd also like to thank the president of ECTV, Tyler Gudex. I'd like to thank our executive producer, Stacy Abbott. I'd like to thank my producer, cameraman, and editor, Scott McFerrin. I've said it many, many times. If there's anything you like about this show, Scott's fingerprints are all over it. Take the time to thank him sometime. I know he'd appreciate it. And again, I'd like to thank all of you. Thank you, Jen. I had a great time.
Thank you.
As always, I am your host and the Quizmaster. Until next week, I ask you all to remember the very famous words of one of my favorite stars, the recently departed Betty White.
Oh,
Betty White said many times, and I've asked you to remember those fateful words, I highly recommend you get 8 hours of beauty sleep every night.
I love it.
Unless, of course, you're ugly, in which case we recommend you get 9. So long, everybody. We'll see you next week.
Bye.
Took my chances on a big jet plane. Never let them tell you that we're all the same. The sea was red and the sky was gray. I wondered how tomorrow could ever follow today. Mountains and the canyons start to tremble and shake. The children of the sun begin to awake.